Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a first round mock draft for every NFL team. It's been a little bit since I've done one. A lot has happened since then. A lot of meaningful playoff and regular season college football games, and we've kind of got a feeling for where some of these teams are going to rank. It's week 18's going on right now, so there might be a little bit of movement, but just wanted to get one out there because I haven't done a mock draft in a little bit. The first overall pick, big loss for the Raiders. Losing to the Giants, now they don't have to trade up and give up a boatload of picks. They can simply stick and pick. For me right now, the quarterback is Fernando Mendoza. He's got the size you're looking for from an NFL quarterback. He's got a good enough arm. He is athletic and mobile enough for his size. And I know it'll be a little bit of a transition because they do a lot of RPO stuff, a lot of shotgun in Indiana, so it might be a bit of an adjustment to getting more under center, more of an NFL style offense. But Fernando Mendoza is a very smart, analytical player, so if there's anybody who I trust to wrap his mind around new concepts, it would be Fernando Mendoza. Here at number 2 is an interesting spot. I would certainly consider a trade back. They don't really need edge rush help. I don't love receiver at 2 because each receiver it just doesn't feel like 2 is the right value for them. Ruben Bain would be interesting if they wanted to beef him up and have him move inside. Then I could start to see that making sense if they wanted to use him more as like a 3-4 defensive end instead of necessarily an outside backer. I like him on the edge. I know he's got really short arms, but he's just phenomenal. So I'm not super worried about it. I think they just pick him and figure it out because I think he's just so awesome. He might be my favorite player in this class. He's just such a disruptor in both phases of the game. He's a 3-down player. He's just fantastic. I mean, you can see the grades he's had. He's been phenomenal. He's played good against good opponents. He's not feasting off of FCS schools. I would roll with Ruben Bain here and just figure it out. I know they got a lot of edge rushers, but I mean, he's just so remarkably talented that it's hard to pass him up. Here are the Jets sitting at number 3. If I were them, I would not go quarterback. It's not because I don't like Dante more here, because I think he's probably worth a top 5 pick, but he is a young prospect, and he has played amazing this year, but still developing, still young, still not nearly as complete as Mendoza is. And they just do not have the roster around him to help him develop in the NFL. I think you probably use your 2 picks here to get solid supporting pieces and then go into next year and try to nail down a quarterback next year. So with that being the case, you look at receiver, Sonny Styles. I know he's a linebacker and probably wouldn't go this high, but would they kill for him? Holy cow. This is another team that would be interesting to trade back, but I'm not sure there's any suitors who want to go up. I don't think the Browns are going to pick a quarterback this year. Titans won't, Saints won't, Commanders won't, Chiefs won't. It's like, did the Dolphins move all the way up from 11? That's a possibility. It's interdivision, though, so no. I don't think the Rams would for all the way to 3 for Dante Moore. Ooh, that's an interesting one. That is an interesting one. Would the Rams pull the trigger from 12 to 3 for Dante Moore? I think we're just going to stick and pick. I think that's too big of a jump, and they'd have to give up too much. And I think Stafford is still plenty good enough that maybe they just try to grab two pieces in this draft and push for another Super Bowl next year. Obviously, that could change depending on whether he retires, whether, what happens in the playoffs. But as of now, I don't think they would trade up, and I don't see anyone else who would. So in this spot, I really love Sonny Styles. I think Carnell Tate would be pretty fantastic here. Jeremiah Love would be fun if they don't re-sign Brees. Which isn't a foregone conclusion. They could let him go. It would be weird because they didn't take the 4th round pick the Chiefs offered, but if Brees Hall is not on the team, then Jeremiah Love is absolutely the pick. I mean, he is just a all-around complete player, can catch passes out of the backfield, is super explosive, has good vision, is a big, solid running back, not some undersized scat back. And he's just, played phenomenal these past 2 years. Since he was a freshman, I think he's played every single game. He's just been phenomenal. I think they will bring Brees back. Which, if that's the case, I would go Carnell Tate here. I know a lot of people like Jordan Tyson better. I am pretty concerned about his durability because he's had multiple different nagging injuries over his career. And I'm curious to see how his medicals go when the combine comes around. If I hear good stuff and good news from the combine about him, then I'd certainly take him over Carnell Tate. I think he's just a bit more explosive of a receiver, better after the catch, certainly. But I am concerned with his ability to stay healthy with all these soft tissue injuries that he is accumulating. On to the Titans. I think it was a shoo-in for Arvell Reese, but he has not played as impactful football as he did down the stretch as he did to start the year. So I'm at least going to look around and consider some of these other options. Offensive line, I think it's too early for any of those guys. I don't think running back is the biggest need, although that would be fun with Love and Cam Ward. That could be interesting, but that feels like a luxury piece. The Titans should take notes from what the Raiders did, and the Raiders took a phenomenal prospect in Ashton Genty, and it just hasn't worked out because the surrounding pieces just aren't good enough. Depending on what they do in free agency, that could be a pick if they fill some other holes. But as of now, I wouldn't do that. Am I still leaning Arvell Reese? I think I am. I wish they showed his grades and stats as an edge rusher because I really think that's what he's going to be. I don't think he's going to be an off-ball linebacker, so I'd love to see his stats. He's played more D-line. He's played both. The flexibility that he has is also nice, but I think his home is an edge rusher. Once again, Jordan Tyson would be interesting, but just the injuries just scare me. Mekhi Lemon would be good. I think he'd be a good fit next to Io Manor and Chamari DK. I think he provides something that those two don't. That could be a fun trio of young receivers. Once again, I'd like Jordan Tyson more, but those injuries scare me for a top 5 pick. I think we're going to go Mekhi Lemon. That seems like a lot of fun to me right now. Pair him with those two other receivers and just give Cam Ward weapons to go to. This one's pretty easy for me. If he's on the board, they're taking Dante Moore. I know he's young, but he has just played phenomenal, lights out this year. His ability to layer the ball over the middle of the field, put air on it, put it on a line. He could throw. He could throw almost every ball. He's a little bit small. He's listed at 6'3". I wouldn't be shocked if he's closer to 6'2", 6'1", which isn't tiny. It's still a little bigger than I thought. But I mean, he's just incredibly accurate, incredibly smart against the blitz, and he just has the ability to put the ball where he wants it. The Browns here at 6. Once again, Jordan Tyson would be phenomenal. I think Sonny Styles would be good, especially if JOK can't come back from what seems to be a pretty serious injury. Keep Sonny Styles in state. I know Devin Bush has been good, but I don't even know if he's under contract, and this year has been a complete outlier. So I wouldn't bank on him being there and being good. That just seems unlikely. I think I might go Sonny Styles. I still think it's a little too early for the tackle. We're starting to get in the range of where Fano makes sense. But man, Sonny Styles is just, I mean, fantastic. I mean, up until this last game, he had a 0% tackle or missed tackle rate this year. He's got the size you look for at a linebacker. He's got the head on him. He's a good tackler. It's like teach tape on tackling. He's incredible. And I think he would be a great fit to captain the middle of that defense. This one for me is not going to change. It's been the same thing for a long time. I think Caleb Downs just makes way too much sense for this defense that lacks pop, that lacks leadership, that lacks just talent. And you're probably getting one of the most talented players in this draft. The versatility that he brings, where he can play in the slot, he can play as a box safety, he can play as a deep free safety, he can man up tight ends, he's got the size for it. He can man up running backs because he's athletic enough. He's a sure tackler. He's a heady player who can read the field well, read the quarterback well. And if you're Washington, you need some juice on the back end of that defense. The Saints, I definitely don't think go quarterback. I think Tyler Shuck's been good enough to where you kind of let him roll, see what he's got. It seems they always need defensive line help. Every single year. Chase Young has started to be better, and he might actually turn out to be a solid piece, a long-term piece for them. I know Brian Brzee hasn't turned out the way that they wanted so far. He's still young, so he's still got time. I look at a guy like Arvell Reese. I think right now is where you start to really consider him. But man, with Alvin Kamara getting old, Kendre Miller and Devin Neal don't stop you from taking Jeremiah Love, man. I think that is a fun pick. Pairing Love with solid backups in Kendre Miller and Neal. You got Olave on the outside. Shaheed isn't there. He'd probably dip into receiver later in the draft as well. But, man, give Shook just a dynamic running back. Your O-line is young and getting better. If you just give him a safety blanket for checkdowns, a guy who can turn a 5-yard check down into a 15, 20-yard gain because he's just so elusive in the open field, I think that's a pretty fun pick. Stealing it from the Chiefs, who absolutely would have taken him if he was there. But this one makes so much sense. Arvell Reese, the pass rush and the defensive line in general has just been uninspiring this year. Chris Jones is getting older. I think they have to pay Karlaftis here soon. And I think Leo Chanel is a free agent too, and Arvell Reese brings that kind of dual position flexibility. I think it would be a phenomenal addition. Brings the juice, brings the intensity, the physicality that defensive line kind of lacked this year. The Cincinnati Bengals, I really like edge rusher for them. I got to imagine Hendrickson's done. He's finally gone. I'm sure he's sick of it. I'm sure they're sick of it. So if they're looking edge rusher, let's take a look at some of the ones who are here. I think it's got to be David Bailey. I think I like David Bailey better than Howell, better than R. Mason Thomas and Parker. And, I mean, as you can see, he brings just juice off the edge, but he's also not a pushover in the run game. A lot of the times when you see guys who are just elite pass rushers, they're DPRs. They're not great run stoppers. He is good in both phases. I think he would be a phenomenal get to put on the other side of Shamar Stewart. Hopefully that turns out well. The Dolphins. Quarterback, I don't think Chambliss is starting to be in this area quite yet. This feels high for him. Excuse me. I don't think Ty Simpson will be in this draft. I don't think John Mateer will be in this draft. I certainly will not take Garrett Nussmeier with this pick. So I think quarterback's out. Jordan Tyson's really interesting because he's a top, 3, 5, 10 talent, and you're getting him at a bargain here just because I don't trust the injuries. But I think that's who I'd go with. I mean, Tyreek Hill is certainly gone. Whether he plays football next year or not, he ain't going to be playing for the Dolphins. And Jordan Tyson's is phenomenal. If you think Waddle is more of a 2, Tyson absolutely has the upside to be a number 1 dominant receiver in this league. He's got the size for it. He's got the athleticism for the size. He's got the burst, the route running. He's got the contested catch ability. 43%, I think it can certainly be better. I think you roll Jordan Tyson here. I think you just hope he can turn his health around and you get an absolute steal at 11. This is another one similar to the Commanders that just hasn't changed for me. It's Spencer Fano. I think one of their tackles is either really old and probably retiring soon or is a free agent. I'm not quite sure. I don't really remember. But, I mean, talk about a luxury pick. Thank you, Falcons. You get to just plug and play the best, highest floor, good upside tackle in the draft. Right on the right side. Right side? Right side of the offensive line. It doesn't get easier than that, really. The Tampa Bay Bucks, who I saw are not interested in firing Todd Bowles, which is certainly interesting because it's been a season from hell. I mean, talk about an incredible collapse. They're one of these teams that actually could shoot up this, depending on what's going on with the Falcons-Saints game, because they end up winning the division. But they need pass rush. They need pass rush bad. They need to be able to get after the quarterback. With that, I look at guys like Cassius Howell is certainly interesting. I know he's got really short arms. I also really like R. Mason Thomas out of Oklahoma. TJ Parker also makes sense. He's got less juice than the other two. He's more of an all-around guy. I really like R. Mason Thomas. He dominated my Golden Flashes. I mean, that was just a brutal game. So we are going to roll with him. Here with the 14th pick, we've got the Dallas Cowboys, the first of 2 picks. They're another team that could use some pass rush help. They got Quinnen Williams. They don't really need interior, but the D-line still needs work. I would certainly consider Sonny Styles if he made it here, which is possible. I kind of took him a little early. But I'd also consider corner. I know Bland hasn't been great, and they just let go of Diggs. So McCoy or Delane would certainly be an option here. But I think we're going to roll with TJ Parker. I think he fits the size profile that they want. Like I said, he's more of a well-rounded player as opposed to specialized pass rusher. I think he's been falling down some boards just because it hasn't been a great year for him. I still think he's a top, 15, 20 pick, and I think he would go great with the Cowboys here. This is where I'm going to have my first cornerback come off the board. I think Tremont McCoy, even though he did not play this year and is recovering from ACL injury, I believe, he was phenomenal last year. He's got the size you look for in a corner. His physical ability, I think, is something that the Lions would really be attracted to. And they need help in the secondary. So I think McCoy makes a lot of sense. This is another team that just needs juice. I know a decent amount of their defensive lines, free agents. Obviously, they'll probably bring some back, but they need juice on that defensive line. And catchy as hell, fits the bill. He's a great pass rusher. He's a little bit small, got small arms, but I know they got a guy like Mike Green who wasn't physically imposing either. The Minnesota Vikings. I read earlier that they are, whether it's through trade or free agency, going to bring in some veteran quarterback competition for J.J. McCarthy. So certainly not looking at quarterback at this point in the draft. Although I think we're starting to get in the range where Chambliss is interesting. Like I said, Simpson I don't think will be in it. Mateer I don't think will be in it. And I don't think Nussmeier's really getting this close. I think they also could go corner or safety. They just kind of need some secondary help. I don't think there's any safeties worth taking here. No, not really. I have Mansour Delane. I think that makes perfect sense. Give Brian Flores another, elite physical, athletic piece in that secondary. The Jets, who already got Carnell Tate, Peter Wood's falling in the draft, basically falling into their lap. Another guy similar to TJ Parker that just didn't have a fantastic year. Kind of the story with almost everyone on that Clemson team. I have a little more faith that he will be more of the player we saw the previous 2 years than this year. Same with TJ Parker. I just think that was a train wreck this year. And, what is it? Rising tide raises all boats. I think it goes in the opposite direction too. So we're going to roll Peter Woods as a potential Quinn Williams replacement. The Carolina Panthers are certainly an interesting team. I don't think Bryce Young's the answer, but I'm not going to replace him with any of these guys. Nick Scorton has been playing really good off the edge down the stretch of the year. So I don't think edge is a must. There's no linebacker I like here. I would be interested in some of the O-linemen potentially. I don't know how to say the first name, but I'm pretty sure the second name is Owane. Is a phenomenal pass blocking guard out of Penn State. And I know some of their guard signings the past couple years that they gave bigger money aren't working out. You could also convince me that Proctor would be good to move in. But if you're telling me I have to pick at 19, I want to pick the guy who's proven at that position. And I think just helping protect Bryce Young, give him the best chance to maybe show you something. The Steelers, he's sitting here at 20. I know Broderick Jones has been okay. He was hurt to end the season. He's on IR, but everything I've seen is that they're not going to pick up his fifth-year option. So it doesn't really seem like the team believes him as a long-term option at left tackle. Trinidad Chambliss could be interesting here. I'm not sure he's quite a first-round pick. We'll just have to see kind of how Senior Bowls go, how the offseason goes, and how the Ole Miss plays in the rest of the playoffs. He's certainly played his way up into QB3 conversations ahead of Beck, Nussmeier, Aller, Altmaier, all these guys. It really wasn't that difficult, but he might end up playing himself into this conversation. I'm not quite ready to put him there. Denzel Boston is certainly interesting here, but I think it's a pretty deep receiver class that you probably don't have to take one in the first round. I also think linebacker, I don't love CJ Allen at this spot. I think there's a few other guys you could get better value for. Secondary, I mean, I'm starting to be interested in a Colton Hood or Keith Abney, but I think the tackle prospects and the offensive line prospects are just better at this point. I think I know Marino is a right tackle. I think Caleb Lomu is young and raw, but really good with tons of potential. I view Caden Proctor more as a guard. Jennings Dunker, I don't like better than these two. I feel like Marino is a higher floor, but Lomu has got a bigger ceiling and already plays left tackle. So I think Lomu might be the pick there. The Dallas Cowboys back up. They picked TJ Parker with the first overall pick. I think you could probably look at secondary here. I like Colton Hood. Avion Terrell is pretty decent. He's just a little bit smaller. I'm not sure he's quite even 5'11". I don't think they don't typically mind smaller corners, though. So maybe Avion Terrell is their kind of player. They have offensive line. Maui Noah is interesting. They could double up on edge. We're going to roll with... Wide receiver is also interesting because I'm not sure they're going to bring Pickens back. Just the way Jerry Jones does things, I certainly wouldn't rule it out that they don't bring him back. If that's the case, I could absolutely see them going wide receiver. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I think I like Denzel Boston better than Hood and Abney. And I am a firm believer that Pickens will not be back. Obviously, if that changes, this pick will change. But I'm just operating under my current beliefs. The Chargers definitely need D-line help. I think this is a conversation between McDonald, Falk, and Romello Height, maybe. It depends on what you're looking for. Height scares me just because he's such a late bloomer. K. McDonald has been fantastic as a run stuffer. I'm not sure his pass rush upside. I think you go with Keldrick Folk here. I think he just provides such a floor of run stuffing ability that you kind of need as a team. The Bills, another team that needs basically any help on defense. So who's the best defender out there? Let's take a look. Who's the best defensive player in my mind? I mean, it's pretty easy. It's Cade McDonald. Like I said, brings just such great run defense. I think he's better than Tyreek Williams. He's bigger than Tyreek Williams. And in a Bills team that just needs anything, I think you just go BPA on defense. The Los Angeles Rams picked Spencer Fano with their first pick in the first round. I think you look at corner here. I think they're a team where Avion Terrell would be interesting because they don't seem to mind the size issues. They got Emmanuel Forbes in there. I know they traded for the Titans cornerback. I'm blanking on his name, but that doesn't stop you from drafting a younger guy who kind of fits what you're looking for. So I think that makes a lot of sense. The Philadelphia Eagles, I think you're looking at corner or guard, because outside of Mitchell and DeJean, it's bad. I mean, it is The plan for every team is whoever that third corner is on the field, throw the ball at him. Make him make a play because they usually can't. So, Colton Hood would be a solid landing spot here. Keith Abney's another guy I'd be looking at. I don't think I love those guys. I think Caden Proctor would be fun. I think he fits their beefy, just large, strong offensive lineman. I think you kick him inside to guard, and you just kind of beef up that interior that hasn't really been that great this year. This is another team. I think Francis Mauigoa is an easy pick. Whether he plays guard for you, whether he plays tackle for you, he's the best offensive lineman left, and you need good offensive linemen because I'm not sure you have any at this point. The Browns picking at 27 for the Jacksonville Jags. They picked Sonny Styles with their first pick. I'd start to look at some of these guys. I'm way higher on Skylar Bell. I love Skylar Bell. I think I like him as my next best receiver on the board. I think he's kind of similar to Jerry Jeudy in role, at least. You could look at offensive line. Saraveld would be interesting. Connor Liu would be interesting. Don't love any of them at 27. I think Elijah Surratt could be fun because I like him better than Concepcion. And Surratt and Skylar Bell are close enough in skill. I just think he brings something that you don't have. I know Jeudy was not fantastic or really good, but he's still, you're paying him a lot, you traded for him. I don't think he's going to be as bad as he was this year. I think he will bounce back and be somewhere in between this year and last year. And pairing him with a talent like Surratt, I think would do good, give Shedeur the best chance he has to succeed. The 49ers, who have just quietly turned it on at the end of the year, they've looked fantastic up until last night. But last night aside, they've looked really freaking good. I know I said I like Skylar Bell better than Concepcion, but this one is just a fit for me. Concepcion plays so similar to how Deebo Samuel played, and prime Deebo Samuel was a problem with the 49ers. I mean, he was a problem. And with a receiver core that's losing Ayuk, I don't know what's going on with Jennings. He wasn't even that great this year. You've got Pearsall, and you need another guy, and you've seen this mold of player work for you. You'd think about edge, but I'm not a huge Romello Height guy. I think there's a drop-off after Keldrick Falk into these guys. Not that they're bad, but I think it's a distinct tier. So I would probably roll Casey Concepcion. I think it just makes too much sense for what they're looking for on offense. The Chicago Bears. This is an interesting one. This is an interesting one because they need D-line help. Like I just said, this is a clear tier below what was going on. I mean, Caleb Banks is interesting because he was pretty dang good, and he's a mammoth of a human. This is late enough where I feel like you probably just take a flyer on a super talented guy who just got hurt this year. And I'm not in love with any of these other. I mean, Christian Miller is pretty good. I don't love the edge players. And Caleb Banks, you roll with it here. The New England Patriots, they're another team I'd like to look at offensive line. also look at edge. I mean, maybe Romello Height here. Josh Josephs, Gabe Akis could be a solid fit here. I also could use corner on the other side of Christian Gonzalez. Ooh, I think I like that. I think I like Colton Hood here. Pair him up with Christian Gonzalez. Create a young duo that could turn out to be phenomenal. I like that a lot. I think a lot of people just kind of shoe in Kenyon Sadiq here. I am not a huge fan of Kenyon Sadiq, not as a first-round pick. I just think he's pretty inconsistent and really over the past couple of years just super underutilized at Oregon. And I don't know, some just doesn't feel right. I don't have hardcore evidence and stats behind it, but I just don't think he's a first-round player. I'm just not impressed to this point when I see him. So, with that being said, I think you look to defensive line. I think you look to receiver potentially. I think Christian Miller could be good. You don't really need edge. You're looking at the interior. Linebacker. People are a lot higher on C.J. Allen than I am. I'm just not convinced he can cover quite yet. And he doesn't really have the size to it's not a size constraint. I'll just say that. He's definitely not the biggest linebacker. This is tough. This would be like a prime trade back spot for anyone maybe wanting to get up and get Chambliss. Kind of Lamar Jackson style. How far would Pittsburgh have to move up from 52 to 31? Let's look what 52 to 31 would cost generally. 52 costs 380. 380 and then 31 is 600. So 220 points. What does the Steelers have? 78 and 84 are their next ones. 78 and 84. We're looking for 220. 78's 200. And then you just probably leave it at that. I mean, there might be a little bit of swaps in the back end, but this is the gist of it. Like I said, if you're the Broncos, I just don't love anyone there. You trade back to 52. Trading back 21 spots. What's 198 worth? 11. What's 176 worth? 21? Okay. Yeah, you gain 78 and 176 to move back 21 spots. And it's not to say you can't move back up. I know it's moving back a bit, but it's a deeper tight end class. There's some linebackers in that position. There's still some defensive linemen interior that I think work. And if you're the Steelers, we're going to force this to go through. You do what your division rivals did. It worked out for them. And you trade up for your potential quarterback of the future. And draft Trinidad Chambliss, who has just been playing phenomenally down the stretch. And in a weaker quarterback class, it's not crazy to think that he could end up being the third quarterback taken. He is certainly small for my taste. But he's just played really good. He's an athlete. He's got a better arm than most people his size. Like pound for pound strength and arm talent, I think is a plus. I am concerned about the height, but you gotta take swings, I guess. The Seahawks on the clock at 32. I think you look at cornerback. I know probably Woolen is gone. I like Abney better than Cisse. I also like Keontae Scott and probably Chris Johnson better than Cisse. Cisse is just such a fit for that Mike McDonald's scheme that I think that's who they would roll with. So this is, once it loads, the final mock draft. Second full mock draft of the year. I'll probably do another one once the season fully wraps up and we have everyone who's committed to the draft. We have the full order. I'll do one then and kind of revisit this and see what's shifted. But let me know what you guys think of the picks down in the comments. Let me know what you disagree with, what you agree with, what you hate, what you like. And subscribe, like the video. Yeah, thanks for watching.